Welcome to the Connected Health Podcast. Today, I have Haven Quinlan on my podcast. She's the owner of Health by Haven, and she's a holistic health coach in training and has her own podcast called Health by Haven. I love the alliteration there.
Thank you.
She is based in New York City, and she does health coaching and fitness coaching, is a former D1 dancer, and teaches at Pure Barre. Welcome to the podcast, Haven.
Thank you so much for having me, Vanessa. I'm happy to chat today.
So I would like to know how you got started in the health and fitness field.
Sure. So I grew up playing sports. My parents put me in every sport possible, I think, to keep me entertained and active as a kid, but really fell into the world of dance in the third grade is when I started. And in about sixth grade, I decided, okay, dance is like what's for me. I'm going to do this every single day. And it kept me super active. It gave me my best friends. It was such a fun activity to be involved in all through high school and college. But after college, it was a little bit of a shock to the system when I was in grad school and then working my first job, being like, oh, wait, like this is what people are talking about when they're like, oh, I need to go work out. I need to go to the gym, because that was just something I never had to think about before. And right around the time I finished grad school, about a year later, COVID happened, which obviously rocked all of our worlds, but it gave us all, I think, but it gave me some downtime to think about what was it that I was interested in learning more about, and kind of this like extra free time at home that I would usually be filling the space by seeing friends or traveling or teaching Pure Barre classes. And that's when I really got interested in learning more about nutrition specifically. I dove into all of the nerdy books and podcasts on the science behind nutrition. I got my certificate online through Cornell with nutrition and healthy living. And so that was the catalyst. It was very fun for me to get to use myself as an experiment to try out what foods fueled my body, what made me feel good, what made me feel sluggish. Same with exercises. And I just found that all of these little tweaks that you could make to your own life could really change how you felt day to day. And I decided I really wanted to share that with people.
It's awesome. I find that a lot of us in our industry will get there because of our own journeys. And you've had stuff going on with your gut health and your body. And I would love for you to share that story with people, because I know that they can relate in some way. And I know that they're just begging to learn how you fixed everything.
Well, every day is not perfect, let me tell you. It's an ongoing journey. But yeah, as you've alluded to, I've had many, many years of digestive distress that kind of seemingly came out of nowhere. I mean, I didn't grow up with allergies to food as a child, but as I got further in my adult life, started getting those symptoms of IBS like many of us deal with, and went to doctor after doctor, running panels, running labs, running breath tests for H. pylori, and getting x-rays of my abdomen and all of the different things to try to figure out like what was the deal, you know? And essentially I had gotten diagnosed with IBS and with functional dyspepsia, which honestly, both of those diagnoses are extremely frustrating because they essentially are the same thing. One's for your digestive system, your intestines, one's for your stomach. And they both basically mean, yeah, you have these symptoms, like something's wrong, but we can't really pinpoint what it is. Like you just have some upset sometimes, which is really frustrating to hear when you're like, well, yes, I could have told you that myself. I'm trying to figure out how to remedy it. You know, please help me get to the cause, the root cause of what's going on. And a lot of doctors would tell me, oh, you're distressed, like you need to calm down, which to somebody who is like a high achieving type A personality, like that is not helpful. I am not calm innately. And I know that's something that I should work on, but maybe give me some tools. Don't just tell me, hey, you need to calm down. So it would really infuriate me. I would leave the doctor's office like so incredibly frustrated. So I decided to dive in a little bit more on my own. Did, again, a lot of reading, a lot of podcast listening, and through my classes at Cornell and now through my classes with the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, I'm learning more and more about the mind-body connection and nervous system regulation, and how a lot of times digestive disorders and many other chronic conditions, but particularly digestive disorders like IBS, can be caused by stress and by a dysregulated nervous system. So, hearing that in a different way, understanding different tools that you can use to regulate your nervous system to help calm you down has really made such a huge difference for me. Also, our bodies love rhythms. So, having a consistent sleep routine, going to bed at a certain time, waking up at a certain time every day as best as you can. I know that's like no fun, especially on the weekends. And of course, live your life. Like some days aren't going to be perfect. Some days you're going to be traveling, but as much as you can, your body loves those routines of sleep, of wake, of when you're eating, of when you're moving your body, and all of those things really clue your body in to make you feel safe. They're like, This is good. This is your homeostasis. This is your normal environment." And working on creating that routine for myself, in addition to identifying some stressors that maybe consciously I didn't think were stressing me out that bad, but really were stressing out my body, and starting to slowly remove those from my life, leaving a really high stress job to take a different one that was more calming on my nervous system, all these different things. I slowly started chipping away at feeling horrible most days to most days now being great for me. And that doesn't mean every day's perfect. And you'll have those relapses when high stress environments come up, or travel is a big one for me. But now I know basically how to regulate myself to get back on track rather than letting it snowball for months and months.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that part of your story, and I think so many type A women can relate, and I definitely wanna dwell on that topic because I had a very similar story of always just being on the go and doing, and I think many of our listeners can relate to that same thing. And I would love specific advice that you would give that woman who feels like she can't make any changes, that everything on her plate needs to be there, and even though it's affecting her life in a negative way. What is your message to that woman to help her get out of this fight or flight and into more parasympathetic nervous system or a more rested state so that her body can start to heal?
It's so frustrating that so many people can relate. So I'll do my best to give a couple of tidbits. First, I heard a quote once, and I don't remember who it's been attributed to. I think there's been different variations of it over and over. But essentially, if you're striving to do everything perfectly, you're actually doing everything just average, because you really need to prioritize what's actually important in your life. And I know that's easier said than done when we have busy schedules, we have demanding jobs, maybe we have family responsibilities, maybe we have a side hustle, we have a social life, we have hobbies that we don't want to give up. But honestly, taking like an inventory of your day to day, what are the things that I'm enjoying that are lighting me up? And what are the things that I'm dreading or that are just like draining my energy? And can some of those things be let go? And you can do this on a really micro scale at first. If it's not like, oh, I can just go and quit my job tomorrow. I know it's not realistic for everyone. So maybe you list out all of your different work tasks. Is there one thing you could delegate? If you're at the bottom of the food chain of your job and you don't have anyone to delegate to, could you do some sort of swap with somebody like on your level? Hey, I actually really don't love writing these emails, but I really love doing the social media. Could I take the social off of your plate and you take writing email copy off of my plate? Something like that, just as really small starts. And then you can start snowballing. Or like for me, I've had lately like all of these signs coming into me being like, clear out space for the old to let space in for the new. And I know that kind of sounds like a woo-woo-y concept, but truly, are you filling your days with little busy work tasks? You know, the long to-do list, you're checking off the little things that maybe aren't moving the needle instead of attacking the main priorities that are going to move the needle. Can you clear out all those little things that don't really matter? Do you really need to be posting on Instagram every single day for your business? Or could you better use that time and energy on something else? And I've found that having a couple of big things in my week to focus on versus 100 tiny things really helps quiet my brain. It helps me feel less distracted. It helps me feel less scatterbrained and overwhelmed, which is a signal to your nervous system to calm down so that your body's functions can't, like digestion, can be running properly and accurately.
Amazing. I really like those tips so much.
Good. I'm glad.
I find that a lot of health professionals will give the same cheesy tips, but I don't think I've heard those before. So thank you for bringing a fresh perspective to it, because I know that women will be able to heal from trying those things and implementing them. I want to know a little bit more about what it's like to be a fitness instructor in New York City. Oh,
Sure, very fun. I started my journey teaching Pure Barre, which if you don't know what Pure Barre is, it's a bar workout. It's just a company, a mixture of like ballet bar, mat Pilates, yoga, strength, cardio. There's a lot into it, but started that journey in 2019. Actually, I went to training right after I'd finished grad school and taught when I lived in South Carolina for a few years, taught in Tennessee when I lived there for a few years. And now that I'm in New York City, it's something that I've continued to pursue here. And that is the beauty of a big brand, right? I can like bounce from state to state and do it, but it's so much fun. I usually teach 9 classes a week if I'm not adding on and subbing for people. And so to see those 9 classes with, roughly 20 people in each class, that's so many people that I get to have just a small little piece in their wellness journey every week. Whether it's they're coming in one day and they're lifting heavier weights and they're like, I want to get stronger. They're like, I'm going to hold my 90-second plank the full time today without dropping down. Like seeing those little milestones and like seeing them get physically stronger and like proud of themselves is so amazing. But also some days it's the mental release, right? Like, let's be real, exercise is just as much about that mental release as the physical benefits, in my opinion. Some days you're coming in and you're like, honestly, I don't want to be here. Right now, we have 8 inches of snow on the ground and it's freezing, and no one wants to leave their apartments. And winter can feel like long and dreary and dark. And maybe you've had a bad day at work, or you're in a fight with your partner and you're like, oh my God, I don't want to be here. But it's those 50 minutes that you get to come in, focus on yourself, shut out the outside world, and recharge is just so incredible to be that teeny, teeny little part in that person's day that if they're having a bad day, it might be the best part of their day. I mean, often my workout is even on a good day because I enjoy it so much, but to being able to help people physically and mentally, it's amazing.
I love that. I also teach group classes, and I can agree with every single aspect of that, especially being a part of people's lives because you see them, almost every day or multiple days a week, and you're getting to build real connections and relationships with people. And that's probably my favorite part of just asking Sally, like, how was your new job promotion? Or asking Tom, like, how was work this week? Or how's your dog doing? Like all of those fun
Yeah.
conversations that really just make coming to class worth it for me. And
Definitely. What do you teach?
so I teach boot camp as well as some senior strength classes.
Amazing. So
Yeah.
fun.
Don't tell anyone, but the old people are my favorite.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, so fun that they're still out there doing it. I hope that's me when I'm like 80.
Right? Oh, they're so inspiring and they just have so much wisdom and knowledge and they're hilarious. You would never expect. Tell me about what your perspective on health and holistic health is, what it is to you, and how does somebody start on that path if they are a beginner? There's a lot there, so take your time.
Yeah, okay, kind of a two-parter. So, as far as, like, holistic health to me, I believe in that so fully. I think everything in our body is connected, mind, body, spirit, all of it, and you can't expect to focus on just one aspect of your health and be truly well day in and day out. So, for a concrete example, if you're eating broccoli and salad and collard greens or whatever, if you're eating all of your fruits and veggies every day, but you hate your job and you don't have any relationships in your life, you sit on your butt all day and you don't move your body and you're miserable. That's not health. That's not wellness. There has to be some give and take. Even if you're eating this quote, perfect diet, but you don't have joy in your life, what's the point? And so being able to balance eating well, but having that 80/20 lifestyle that a lot of people talk about, like, you have some of those fun joys as well. Maybe you're going out to eat with your friends and you don't know what kind of oil they've cooked your food in. Instead of freaking out about that, just be present with your friends and enjoy your time and laugh. There's that old quote, laughter is the best medicine. So I think really approaching it from all angles, like, lately, I've gotten into journaling, which I really never ever thought I would say because that used to make me roll my eyes at people like, "Oh, okay, like, journaling? You're so much better than us." But it has really helped me digest my racing thoughts because I am a morning person. I wake up in the morning and I'm like, "Let's go, let's go." Like, I'm so happy in the morning, but I also often have a million things that I wanna tackle in the day, and it feels like ping pong going on in my brain. And so to be able to almost just, like, word vomit, like, brain dump onto the page really helps my mental health, like, clear it all out. It's on the page, I'm not gonna forget about it, and then I can go in and focus in on task 1. So, that's just an example of a mental health thing that I used to not care about as much, but I was always getting my workout in. Well, make sure you're doing a little bit of all of it. So that's 1, but I know that 2, doing a little bit of all of it can feel so overwhelming to somebody who is just starting. And so my advice to them or my encouragement to them would be, you don't have to do everything perfectly all the time, all at once. If you're working on trying to start building healthy habits and you feel like you have none, pick one area first that you want to focus on. So maybe it's your daily movement. Maybe you haven't ever set foot in a gym and you played soccer as a kid, but like that's it. So just focus on trying out different exercise modalities so you can find what works for you. Because I also don't think that we should be forcing ourselves into workouts just because we think we should be doing them or they're really hot and trendy. Right now, I feel like we're still in the phase of lifting heavy is like trendy, and everyone online is like, you have to lift heavy weights. That's how you're going to build bone density. That's how you're going to lose fat, which, like, yes, of course, but it's not the only way to move your body. And if you absolutely hate lifting weights, don't do it. Maybe you love Pilates. Maybe you love body weight. Maybe you love a morning walk in the sunlight or a run. So I think giving yourself the grace to find what feels good to you and just start with that one thing. Just start with movement, make it a habit. Maybe that's all you focus on for 30 days. Then when you feel like you have a good routine in that, then you can start looking at, okay, what's on my plate? What are some things that I could swap out that might nourish my body a little bit more? And let it snowball from there. Think of this time at the beginning of the year of New Year's resolutions, we feel like it has to be all or nothing. And then once we like quote fall off the proverbial wagon, it's like, well, that's over. Maybe next year, but it doesn't have to be like that. So just like starting small with those baby steps.
That is practical ways for the beginner to get started. Because when someone mentions holistic, they might think, oh, I have to change everything right now. And that's not realistic. That's not sustainable. So I love that you said just start with one thing, whether that be movement or nutrition or something else. Where you are in your IIN journey currently, what is the most fascinating thing that you've learned so far?
I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but the mind body connection, it's so wild. I think growing up, we don't learn a ton about it. We learn science, nutrition. Oh, carrots are good for your vision, but you're not really thinking about how food can affect how you feel as well. So, like, eating those foods that are going to give you lasting energy can make you feel more focused, can make you feel more clear, can give you the energy to push towards your goals, which will in turn affect your mental health because you'll be like, wow, like I just achieved this goal, whether it's, a fitness goal. I just ran this marathon because I fueled myself towards it, or I was able to focus in on my job and get this promotion. And so I think the fact that it's so much more interconnected than we ever imagined and that there's still emerging science on that in everything we talked about, the nervous system as well, that's mind body connection, that is the most interesting to me.
And I'm sure they talk a lot about the vagus nerve and that big connection
Mhm.
there too.
Yeah.
I explain that for our listeners. I've mentioned it here and there on the podcast, but there's always people who don't know what that is, or they might have heard it trending on social media, but they don't really know, what is the vagus nerve?
Of course, I'm not a scientist, so you'll have to look up the technical terms, but I can put it into layman's terms for you. Basically, there's this nerve system. It's running down your body, a connection from your brain to your gut. So if you ever heard the term gut feeling, or if you ever felt that pit in your stomach where you were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot to do this really important thing. And you like get that knot in your stomach feels like it's dropping. That's a vagus nerve. And it's not only bad things, right? It's like when you get butterflies, when, you're like talking to a new person and you're like, oh, they're so cute. Like, maybe they're gonna be my boyfriend, It's the same feeling, that little flutter in your stomach. It's the connection from your brain and your gut. They call it the gut-brain axis a lot as well. And it's basically a survival mechanism. It's what made you feel danger in primal times, like back way, way back. We knew when the hairs stand up on the back of your neck and there's a wild animal about to chase me. So it's from that, it's evolutionary. And we still have that. And sometimes it's still really good, right? If we're walking in a city in the middle of the night in a dark alley and you get that feeling like you're going to be alert of your surroundings. But sometimes
Yes.
when it's a Teams ping, the sound if you work a corporate job and your stomach drops because you're like, oh, what does my boss want now? What did I mess up? That is where we can get into that dysregulated nervous system state where we're safe. It's okay. I mean, maybe our boss isn't happy with what we've produced or something, but like you're not about to get eaten by a bear. And so I'm going off on a tangent now basically about it, but it's essentially like how your brain and your gut communicate and send information back and forth. And again, that mind body connection piece.
Definitely. I don't think that's a tangent. I think that's perfectly describing what's going on because if your body, no matter if it is a life or death situation or not, like if there is a threat, and when that threat is felt, your body takes prioritization away from things like digestion, fertility. And if you're in that chronic stress state, your body's going to start to downregulate hormones and preserve weight. And like all of these things can happen just because you're stressed all the time. So thank you for explaining that to everyone. And I want to hear more about Help by Haven, what your business is all about. And you also have a podcast.
Yeah. So Health by Haven's all about simplifying healthy living to help you live your happiest, healthiest life. If you're just getting into the health space, it can feel so overwhelming. There's a million different diets that people are trying to force down your throat, like literally and figuratively. Go keto, go vegan, go paleo, all these different things. And they all seem to be conflicting each other. And so it can be really overwhelming. And you're like, oh my gosh, like which one is right? There's science behind all of these. And how am I supposed to know what to do? And then I think people get analysis paralysis and then they just do nothing, which isn't the key to moving forward in your health. And so I'm really trying to help simplify that for people. When you break it all down, healthy living is pretty simple. Eat mostly whole foods that are going to nourish your body, move your body daily, have joy in your life. Those are some big pillars, right? Sleep, stress management. When you break it down, it's simple. That's not saying it's always easy. I know we have busy lives. I know we have responsibilities, but I think there's a lot of extra noise that we can cut out and bring it back down to the basics. So with Health by Haven, I really try to do that. And I also try to show people healthy living can be fun as well. You don't have to be eating bran toast and vegetables and hating your life all the time. It can be joyful. You can find the movement you love. You can make great friends finding the movement you love. I go to a run club every Monday. I've made friends there. I go to Pure Barre a lot of other days. I've made friends there. So that's an instance where there's joy within this quote, healthy lifestyle, wellness world. And so really just helping people cut through the noise and find that joy so they can feel their best and live their best life.
Awesome. How would you describe clients that would be a best fit for you?
Sure. I think anyone who's feeling really overwhelmed with where to start, or for people who are like, this is what I want to do. I know this is what I should be doing, but I can't seem to stay on track. And they just want to have those tools to make it a sustainable lifestyle change versus, say, a fad diet or like a intense workout plan where you're like 30 days and then I'm out. We want this to be about lifestyle. We want it to be about building those healthy habits that feel good for you individually and your body. So anybody who's feeling a little bit lost, a little bit overwhelmed, those are the people that I really love working with to help them see the light or see through the fog in all of this health stuff. You see people with these like 20-step morning routines, and it's like, first I get in my sauna, and then I get in my cold plunge, and then I journal for an hour, and then I meditate in silence for an hour, and then I work out for 3 hours. And it's like, okay, that's not realistic. So helping people with normal lives also be able to prioritize themselves and their health.
Do you work with one-on-one? Do you do group programs? What does that look like?
Yeah, right now I just do one-on-one coaching. I really like to individualize it for people and to find tools to help them work around their schedules. They might be parents, they might be busy professionals, they might have a side hustle that they're trying to grow. And so I really like to do one-on-ones with people. I do a 3-month program to start. And then sometimes people decide they want to stay on longer and continue to build those healthy habits and have a bit of an accountability partner in that journey. Maybe one day we'll do group. We'll see. I'm a runner as well. And so I have been thinking about, okay, what are some tools that could help runners? And I think that would be a really fun community to build too.
Oh, definitely. I think people could use that for sure. What about your podcast?
So this is where I get to have people on, experts in lots of different areas of health and wellness. And it's so fun. As you guys can tell, brevity is not my strong suit. I love to chit chat with people all day. I'm a big extrovert. And so bringing on experts in their fields is something really fun to me to one, personally, I get to learn, but then I get to share those findings with my listeners, my community as well. I just was editing before this an episode with a chiropractor, which is an area that I hadn't known a lot about before the last year. I've had different doctors on. I had an interview yesterday with a sleep specialist. I've had different runners on recapping their races. It's a myriad of health topics, but it goes back to the whole person health. I don't want to just focus only in on nutrition and ignore the other areas of health because I think they're also interconnected. And I love to hear people's stories and share those with the listeners. I just wanted to thank you for having me on. Like I said, I love chit-chatting all about health, and so it's been really fun to give those tangible pieces of advice for people who are listening and are maybe wanting to dip their toes into wellness. So, if you're listening and that's you and you're looking for somebody, to help guide you along that path, I'd love to work with you with coaching, or if coaching isn't for you, but you're just curious about learning more, you can pop on over and subscribe to the Health by Haven podcast as well and hear from all the different wellness experts that I have on.
Could you share where people can find you online and social media and even the podcast?
Of course. Yeah. Everything's Health by Haven. So healthbyhaven.com is like a landing page, but Health by Haven podcast is my passion. It's where I'm spending most of my time. Would love for you guys to subscribe. I write a weekly Substack as well that I really enjoy. So that's healthbyhaven.substack.com. I'm really loving the long form content lately, the podcast and the Substack versus all the short form content. I have my interns really helping me with more of that, but I do spend basically my only short form content time over on Instagram, Health by Haven.
Thank you so much for taking the time to spend on the podcast.
Thank you, Vanessa. It was so great chatting with you.